Welcome to a new episode of Live Healthy Longer and our exciting podcast series, Life, Past, Present, and Beyond. Have you ever wondered about family members and friends who are no longer alive and what has happened to them? Well, I've got some good news for you, but I'm going to let Dr. Jim share it with you. This episode of Live Healthy Longer is supported by Amazon Books, who now offer such great reads such as The Real You, Only Better, Love in the Pines, and Rebirth of Aaron O'Brien. Join me towards the end of this episode, and I will tell you more about each of these books to find them on Amazon.com. Now it's time to join our host, Dr. Jim Polakof, as he leads us on a journey to the world of beyond.
This is Dr. Jim Polakof, and I'm pleased to share another episode in our special series, Life, Past, Present, and Beyond. Now, once again, we're going to be exploring the exciting and fact-based reality of past lives and our spiritual existence in afterlife. I'll also explore reincarnation. Does it really happen, or is it fiction? Well, if you've ever felt the need or desire to connect with your loved ones who've passed away, you may consider turning to a credible psychic medium. With a different twist in this podcast, I'm going to demonstrate how this is possible. Yes, you're going to discover how you can communicate with those you miss and care about, who now reside in the spiritual world. My guest for this episode is the well-known spiritual medium, Brooke Ann Allen. Now, in actuality, Brooke is known as an evidential medium, meaning her focus is to connect us with family members or close friends who are no longer part of this world, but now exist in another dimension we refer to as afterlife. If you're a skeptic, as I was, this episode will again provide proof that we can actually communicate with those we love who are deceased. You'll hear portions of communications with my mother who passed away many years ago. And yes, I can personally validate that Brooke Ann Allen is reputable and effective in terms of mediumship. She actually delivers. So let's get right to it. Welcome to Live Healthy Longer, Brooke Ann Allen.
Hi, thank you for having me today. It is an absolute honor to be on your podcast and interviewed. I appreciate it.
Well, it's my pleasure, absolutely. Now, Brooke, your practice, mediumship, it's in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And of course, as I was pouring through your many testimonials from clients, one actually popped out that I thought maybe I would like to repeat. This woman wrote, "Brooke, you seriously changed my life. I have had such peacefulness that surrounds me, knowing my mom is always with me. You touched on things no one else knew." So, Brooke, how did you become aware you could communicate with people who passed away?
That's a great question because it's been a long process. It was a long unfoldment of figuring out what was happening to me, and it wasn't really until my early 30s when everything started kind of flooding in, and then trying to decipher what was happening. Was I going crazy? Or is this real? So it was in my early 30s, but I think we all have this ability to connect with our loved ones that have departed in one way or another.
Was there any sort of sign that you felt that indicated, hey, I'm actually communicating with someone on the other side?
So it started actually with like anxiety and panic attacks that I had never had before. And I actually went on anxiety medicine and I went to see a therapist because I was hearing voices and I was dreaming vivid dreams and I was knowing things at that time that there was no way that I could know. And I wasn't really sure what was happening. And I just knew things about people or what was going on with them. And I would be talking to someone and I could hear their loved ones saying certain things or feel a presence or have a touch on me. And I'm like, what is happening right now? And I didn't want to be scared of it because a lot of people are very fearful of it. So I kind of dove in head first, as you'd say, and went to my first mediumship development circle 8 years ago. And that's where
And
it all
that's it all
began.
began then.
Yeah, studying it.
Yeah. Well, the term psychic is thrown around quite a bit, but you're actually known as an evidential psychic medium. Can you tell us what that means?
Yes. So a psychic actually connects with the person's energy that's sitting in front of them. So you're going to tell them things about themselves, maybe what has happened in their past, as well as what might happen in the future. An evidential medium is one that connects to your loved one that is departed and gives them evidence of their life or experiences that they went through, things that are meaningful to you. But then they also want to acknowledge things that are going on in your life since they've departed to show that they're always around. And that might even come in psychically because they want to talk about what is going to happen in your future as well, and to know that you're going to be safe and at peace with what's happening in your life.
Interesting. Now,
Mhm.
your stated focus that I've read about at least is to bring healing and a sense of peace to your clients. So, how does connecting the souls of loved ones accomplish this?
I think because death can be very scary for a lot of people, and when you lose someone that's very significant to you, you wonder where they go. Like, where is their soul? Are they in pain? Are they okay? Maybe they did certain things in this life that you're worried about. Are they in purgatory? Are they stuck? Are they at peace? Are they in pain? Did they suffer? And there's all these unknowings when our loved ones depart. And when they come to see me, they never leave your side. They are right next to you the whole time. And for them to validate that they're okay, that their body is whole, that they're not suffering, that they're not stuck, that they're with God and they're in the light. And then they come forward with who they were when they were physically here, shows that their soul is holding your hand on the other side, whether you realize it or not. And that is the sense of peace that is given when you see a medium, a legit medium that's put in the work, to know that it's just such a good feeling. Like, okay, well, a lot of people can't feel their loved ones because they're like, it's been 20 years since my loved ones passed. But they show up like it was yesterday. And they come through just as strong, whether it was a day, a week, 20 years, 40 years. And they're like, well, I thought they might have left because I couldn't feel them or I didn't sense them. And then they come in for a session and they show up.
And again, to repeat, I think what you've just said, which is very interesting, they're with you all the time. Of course,
Mhm.
you think they would have better things to do, but I'm kind of joking about that. But really, they're with you all the time, and that's amazing to know that people you love and love you are there constantly.
Yeah, it's very healing, especially when, they're coming to me and I don't know anything about them. And when they say that they felt like their loved one was really in the room with us for their session, that's healing.
Oh. So let's use me as an example. A week ago, you and I had a session, and I was quite moved that you're able to unite me with my mother. So rather than talk about it, why don't we listen? Here's a clip from that particular session.
She's a little opinionated, like she's telling me what to do. Like she's not shy of her words or what she says, and then she brings me to the way she looks. And then she really wanted to highlight that passing of the jewelry. And with your mom, you know, she, I don't know if you're the baby or who the baby is, but she just like, are you the youngest child of hers?
The only child.
Oh, well, no wonder, because she just looked at you and she's like, my baby. And I'm like, okay, that's my symbol for like the youngest. So you're her only child. So she looks
Correct.
at you with such love. And she comes in and she gives you like the biggest hug. And she goes, I almost feel like it's like she looks at you and she goes, She goes, just tell him I'm really proud of everything that he accomplished, because it's almost like she would try to guide you or try to say things to you and you just wouldn't listen. She's saying you're not listening to her.
Well, that's probably true.
She said he's not listening to me, Brooke. I'm giving him this advice and I'm telling him what to do, and he's not listening, but I'm really proud of everything that you've accomplished. And then she goes, I wish I could just say goodbye to him one more time. And she puts her hand over my mouth, which is usually my symbol for wasn't able to say I love you one more time before I pass, or there's things constricting my area of my mouth where I cannot say it before I pass. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
Because she says,
Yeah,
I wish
because when she was passing away, I flew to San Francisco, where she was with my dad, and I didn't get there in time. She had passed away, so I had to see her in the, where a dead body is after they passed on. I
yeah,
don't know what part of the hospital it was, but I probably missed her by an hour or two.
okay. It's also her
So
way
that
to,
would make sense.
yeah, it's her way to acknowledge that she just wishes she could have said, I love you one more time or goodbye before
We
she,
both wish that.
correct. But that's why it's so important she's bringing that up. So that way she knows that you were on the way or you were trying to get there and it's okay.
So, Brooke, that portion of our session had quite an impact on me. For years, I was very sad and disappointed that I never had a chance to say goodbye to my mother. Now, do you find that being able to say goodbye to a loved one also haunts other clients during your readings?
Definitely. Yes. There's a sense of guilt, that a lot of people carry and a lot of people don't want to acknowledge it or think about it because they kind of like push it deep down inside. And then when they come have a session, it can come out. And it is what you need to hear to let you know that it's okay and that they know why you couldn't be there, or they know you tried, or there's things that you need to hear to kind of release any guilt and to know that their soul's okay and that you weren't supposed to be there at that time. You were there for them in other ways. And at that moment, they understand. And sometimes people are with them and they get to say goodbye. And it might be something else that they need closure on in a session. But 100%, you are right. A lot of people need to hear that.
Let's listen to another portion of our reading, which provides further validation that my mother was actually communicating with me through you. This is a question I asked you, which pertains to afterlife. I'm kind of curious. Can she reveal what it's like in afterlife where she is? And
Yeah.
she calls it heaven.
Oh yeah, definitely.
What's it like? What does
Um,
she do every day?
well, she's a busybody. Tell you that much. She's like not sitting still, even in my office, where she's like, Brooke, just tell him I'm doing everything that I did when I was physically there, because she's running around, kind of keeping up with everything, doing everything. But then she labors my breathing, so I know she might have had a hard time breathing in this life, but I know that she's okay now. Do you understand she had like issues with breathing while she was physically here?
Probably because of the cancer, probably, towards the end.
Perfect. That's okay, because she's showing where she can breathe now, and like she's doing everything that she would want to do. Well, I could tell you right, she stays busy because I'm like, she's not one to idle. Like she is constantly doing stuff, whether it's in the home or outside of the home, but she's staying busy. But then when I was asking her, can you explain certain things about how you are right now? I mean, she's like dancing and singing and enjoying everything, and she's wherever you guys are, so she can go back and forth. But she just said, sometimes I'll get this when they pass, but she just said, it's like she's y'all's guardian angel. She watches over y'all now.
Knowing that my mom is watching over me and my family provided an overwhelming feeling of peace. How were you able to elicit that information from my mother? It's amazing. I mean, is there a technique that you use? How do you do this?
Um, it's not really a technique. I just kind of allow them to use me as the vessel. I'm the medium to communicate what it is that you need to hear before you even ask or think or say. And it's their words. It's not mine, and they give me this sense of feeling or seeing or knowing, and it's their way to communicate because you might have actually asked these questions to them in your head, or maybe not even out loud, wondering if they're around, and then they communicate that because they hear you. And I'm more of the voice to give you those answers to let you know that they really do.
Right. Well, my mother said a lot. So my
Yeah.
next question is, do spirits of my loved ones who've passed, I mean, do they communicate so fully as she did?
No, everybody's different. Like your loved one is exactly how they were when they were physically here. So if you have somebody that is shy, quiet, reserved in this life, or didn't talk a lot, they will just stare at me during a session. And I know that they're not going to say a lot because they will just watch me. And it's almost like they have to warm up to me before they'll communicate. And if people are a little pushy or were outgoing or opinionated like your mother or would have a say in something that you were involved in or were doing. They're the exact same way. But even the quiet ones, they will come through, but it's different because they'll just say like one word. And I have loved ones come through that will be like, Brooke, you should just know. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know your life. You have to give me something. And then their loved ones are like, that's exactly how they were, very few words, just very content being around family. And if that's how they were in this life, they don't change.
And others, if they were very talkative, you're going to get a very talkative soul that conveys to the loved one, right?
Yes, most definitely. If they are a chatty Cathy, they are coming through just as chatty. And if they're not going to let anybody else in during your session, or I have to ask them to sit down, because I have actually had to do that during sessions, to please step aside so other loved ones can have a chance. Because I have to tell you, your loved ones get so excited that you are coming to see me.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Well, let's talk about it because obviously the loved ones are in another dimension. Let's talk about afterlife. You've been part of many client experiences. So what's your take on what actually happens after we die?
It is like peaceful. There's no judgment over there. There's no hell. There's no purgatory. There's no pain. It's always beautiful. They can come and go whenever they want because they don't have the walls that are limiting them like us that we have in I call us our hard bodies because we're grounded and our soul is in a hard body. They don't have that hard body to cause them pain or emotions or things like that. And we don't have grief on the other side, and we don't have certain emotions on the other side that us as humans have to kind of navigate. And over there, it's just so beautiful. Like I've seen angels, like I completely believe in angels. I believe in a higher power. I believe in God. There's a higher being to all of this, guiding us and supporting us. But I do believe our loved ones are completely healed and at peace once they pass and their soul goes to the other side, which is actually right next to us. It's not, a lot of people wonder, like, are they in the sky? No, they're not in the sky. They're just right next to us in a different energy, in a different dimension. So they're not down below, they're not up high. They're right next to us. They're right on this equal
So what am
plane.
I doing looking up into the sky all the time? My goodness, right here. I just look to my
Beautiful.
left,
The
look to
sky.
my right. There they are. My God, I feel congested here. In any case, do they do, from your experiences, do they do some of the things they enjoy doing in life, for example? You said my
Definitely.
mother loved dancing. She was dancing and she was singing. I don't remember a lot of singing, but probably in her younger life, I remember being told by my aunt that, boy, was she a dancer.
Yeah, they do. They do exactly what they enjoy doing. And if that was, somebody playing a sport, or if that was somebody cleaning or taking care of family or whatever it is that they enjoyed painting, and you can do anything on the other side that you would like. It's
Interesting.
all available to them.
So let's talk about reincarnation. That's a very woo-woo subject with many people, but obviously we're reading more and more or learning more and more that it certainly makes a lot of sense. And I believe you mentioned to me during our session or shortly thereafter that our immediate family members actually remain in afterlife. They don't reincarnate right away. They remain to be there with us, which I found very interesting because I thought, gee, haven't many of these people reincarnated or gone into a new life? But you say no, they stay with us to be there for us. And eventually they're going to reincarnate. Am I correct?
Correct. Yes.
All right. And so, what are your thoughts on this? How, your thoughts about reincarnation and how our future lives, who we're going to be next, are determined?
So I do believe in reincarnation, and I do believe that we've had many lives, but I do believe that we have many lives with the people that are currently in our life. And each life that we have to come back into is a soul's lesson, something that we have to learn or work on within ourselves. And sometimes the family members that kind of test us, or we wonder why things are the way they are with certain people in our life. We don't know what happened in a past life together, but it could be a karmic lesson that we have to overcome in this life. Um, but I do believe that our loved ones wait for us. I've never found where I've done a session and I just couldn't connect to their loved one because they've already reincarnated. Your husband, your wives, your children, and your parents and siblings, everybody directly connected to you has always been waiting for their loved ones to pass before they reincarnate. Now, like way down the line, your great great grandma and all that, they might already come back. It might be with somebody else. I don't know that part, but I do know our immediate family waits for us. And that's so nice and reassuring that they don't reincarnate without us. But there's also that feeling of when you know somebody like a friend or you meet somebody at work and it just clicks and you feel like you've known them your whole life and you don't know why. Because you made that kind of contract to come into this life, maybe meet them at a different point in your life to reconnect, and then they bring different lessons in this life for you as well. But then with reincarnation for the listeners, they have to understand like, why are people scared of certain things? Or why can some people pick up a guitar at the age of 3 and completely play it? Like, where does that come from with no training? That has to be a past life connection where they were probably a musician in a past life. They can automatically play a musical instrument with no training in this life. It's almost like that subconscious being
And we
there.
think of them as child prodigies, but actually it could be inherited experiences from another life.
Correct?
So, yeah, Mozart was just bringing something with him when he came in and was able to play at 3 years old. I
Correct?
can't remember what he played the cello, but whatever he played, he was very young. So, how did he pick it up from a past life? Makes sense. What about this concept of we need to have a new life so that we can improve from the life before? The mistakes that we've made, do we continually reincarnate for the purpose of improvement? Is that your opinion?
That's my opinion, yeah, to improve our soul, for another lesson, to get over certain fears, to get over certain obstacles, even like addictions. Some people are born into addiction family and it's part of their genes. And sometimes that might be their soul's lesson to overcome that. Because you'll see some people where they don't ever overcome the addiction, it's in the family, and then somebody else will. Was that their soul's purpose in this life to overcome that part? I feel like we always have to work on our soul's purpose and what it is in this life and how to overcome all of those things that happen to us. And you could take two people and have the same circumstance and they handle it completely different. Why? Is that their soul's journey to not overcome it? In this
Interesting.
life?
Very interesting. Now, Brooke, your readings, I mean, I can attest to the fact they're really in depth. And I'm sure that there are many listeners right now who would love to have your help with their loved ones. I mean, my God, to be able to, like I was able to see my mother and others in the family. And here again, you can help bring them in touch. But my question really is, your practice is in Myrtle Beach, but you do many of your readings online via Zoom. Have you found them to be as effective on Zoom line as they are in person? And how does this work?
Definitely. They are exactly the same as in person as on Zoom or online. The only difference is I don't get to hug you. I'm a hugger. I hug everybody that comes into my office. So I'm like, that's the only thing we're missing is a hug. Um,
We're missing the hug. Okay,
yeah,
that's one
missing the
element.
hug. That's it. But your loved ones show up. I just need you to show up. I don't need your camera to work. I just need to hear your voice. I don't have to see you. I just need you to be present because once you show up, your loved ones show up. You are the connection to your loved ones.
Well, I can attest to the fact, because we did ours online, I can attest to the fact you're right on, spot on.
Thank
Well,
you.
turning to another subject, because there are other services you offer, which I think we should certainly talk about. You offer a what is generally known as a Japanese healing technique. It's called Reiki. Now, usually, it's been my experience this is done by hands hovering over a part of your body. But how does this work online?
I don't know. I don't offer it online. That is one
Oh,
thing
okay. All
I
right. Well, I
only
thought you
offer in
did, and I was trying
person.
to figure out how in the heck does this work
But
online? So we're talking to people who might be able to drive to your practice, which, my God, I'd probably drive a couple of 100 miles with no problem to be there present. But tell us about Reiki and how this works with your clients.
So first, I do want to mention some people are trained in offering Reiki distantly. I am trained in that. I just don't prefer it. I prefer to see you in person, so I do not offer it online. When you come in to have a Reiki session, you lay on I have a massage table that you lay on. The lights are dim. I have an eye mask that you wear. I have essential oils going. I cover you up with a warm blanket and you lay there and I actually work on your body for an hour. I don't want to know anything beforehand. We will discuss everything after your session. And I can tell you everywhere that you've had pain. I can tell you where you've broke something. I can tell you where something is needing work on right now. And you will actually feel heat when I'm working on you and I'm actually trying to heal your body emotionally and physically. And I've had people after the session, they say, "Do you have those hot pocket things in your hands? Or what were you putting on me that was so hot?" And I'm like, "Nothing. It's my energy working with your energy." And I know if that part of your body is cold, you don't need work there. So like if I go to your knees and there's no heat, you probably never have had an issue with your knees before. Then I'll go down to your feet, and if they get hot to me, I know you've had issues, whether you've broken or sprained an ankle, or you have a heel problem, you have, something going on under your feet with your tendons, or if you have back or stomach issues. Your head will radiate if you have a lot of stress or you have a lot of things going on emotionally. A lot of people actually cry when they are receiving Reiki because they can actually feel the energy and feel the pain release from their body while I'm working on them.
Boy, that's exciting because it may be worth my trip to go to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina,
I love
to
it.
work on my back because it's for sure orthopedic surgeons have not had a lot of luck. So this is maybe the one element that I might be missing. But in any case, Brooke, you also host a podcast, just like I do. Your podcast is called Spiritual Vacancy. And I think you do this with another energy healing. I believe her name is Mona Lee. Now, I know there are video and audio versions of your podcast on YouTube and Spotify, but tell us a little bit about the podcast that you do because some of our listeners may want to tune in.
So, with our podcast, we talk about everything spiritual, whether it's Reiki, mediumship, psychic. We have interviewed palm readers, we have interviewed cardology readers, tarot readers, and we want to hear their journey too on how they got to where they were, because some people were very much in the church and then changed their way, or maybe they were never in a religious background and just always felt drawn to this their whole life. And we also want to teach people that there's nothing negative or dark about what we do, that we always want to keep everything in the light. There is a stigma about what I do, they don't want anything dark attaching to them or things like that. And not going to happen during a, legit mediumship session, or you are working with an ethical practitioner, no matter who you choose. If I always say, if you go to a medium or a psychic and the first thing they say is, there's a dark shadow behind you, run, leave, because that is the biggest scam out there ever.
Good to know.
And they do that because they want to lead with fear, and people are scared. Fear brings on even more fear. So then they're willing to pay them to release a spell or do that. That's not how real people work. And we want to educate people that everybody has these abilities. Everybody, we're all made of energy. So we can talk to our loved ones and know that it's a safe space, it's a loving space. And that's kind of what our podcast is, because a lot of people go through their life and don't have direction or are confused on what's happening with them. And we want to give them all these different modalities to look at to see maybe there is something out there that they connect with on a deeper level that they might not have known about before.
Well, very interesting. So, if somebody wants to access some of your podcast, they could do it on Spotify. I know they can do it on YouTube. Is it? Give us the place where they go. I know it's called Spiritual Vacancy, but is there a .com?
No, it's just Spiritual Vacancy podcast on YouTube, Amazon Podcast, Spotify,
Oh,
iHeartRadio, and then all these little ones that, aren't super popular, but
so a spiritual vacancy that gets you to it. All right,
yes.
good. Now, I think it's a good time for our listeners to know how they can reach you because, yes, it's good to listen to the podcast, and certainly some might drive to get a Reiki treatment, which sounds fabulous. But at the same time, many of my listeners are in different parts of the country. So we want to know how we can reach you because now we know that online sessions do work. So your practice is called Medium Brooke Ann, and your website is mediumbrookeann.com. Now we're going to be giving out your website address again. And on my website, for example, jamespolakof.com, we're also going to include your phone number and any other information that you're going to be sending us. We're going to put those links on our website so people can reach you. Are these the best ways to get to you?
Yeah, and then you can go to my Facebook page, which is Spiritual Medium Brooke Ann. So whether it's the website, Facebook, my phone number, however you would like to try to connect. Yes.
All right. Well, in closing, I want to personally thank you for getting me in touch with my mother. That was a big deal for me. But also, I want to know that our audience really has learned from a genuine, eventual psychic medium, and that can be quite beneficial to healing. So you have to be very satisfied with what you bring to people and how you unite them with their loved ones. So again, Brooke, mediumbrookeann.com. That's where we want to send our people. And again, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for trusting me with your loved ones the other day. I do appreciate it, and it is my honor. So thank you.
Well, it's definitely my appreciation.
You can discover more about Brooke Ann Allen at her website, mediumbrookeann.com. That's Medium Brooke, Brooke, don't forget the E, Ann.com. Medium Brooke, Ann.com. You can also find more information about Medium Brooke Ann on our website, jamespolakof.com, where many other podcasts, blogs, and healthy living information can be found. Now, here are some great books you can find on Amazon. We'll begin with Dr. James Polakof's newest book, which has received raved reviews, Live Healthy Longer with Dr. Jim. This terrific new book unlocks the secrets to longevity and how your life with loved ones can become more intimate. And the title is Live Healthy Longer with Dr. Jim. And be sure to add Dr. Jim. Also, there's a hot new book out titled Ignite Your Inner Flame. It's written by none other than Dr. Gloria Polakof. And when I say it's hot, believe me, it's hot. Again, that's Ignite Your Inner Flame. And if you're interested in plastic surgery, you'll want to read The Real You, Only Better. This book empowers women to stand up for their true inner beauty and choose cosmetic procedures that will fulfill this promise. These three terrific books can be found on Amazon.com. You can also visit our website, jamespolakof.com, for more information on each and every one of them. That's James, Polakof.com. Now back to Dr. Jim.
I again want to thank Brooke Ann Allen for a very enlightening and stimulating insight about reuniting with our loved ones in afterlife. Now, at the conclusion of my interview with Brooke, I promised to return and reveal 5 foods that nourish your soul. So let's digest some of this good information about my kind of soul food. While one needs to eat to sustain their body, at the same time, there's no reason you can't nourish your soul the healthy way. Let's begin with raw fruits and vegetables. Yes, your body needs the vitamins and minerals contained in fruit and vegetables, but these can be lost when cooked. Fresh fruits like apples, pears, and oranges are incredibly good for you. But you can also consume raw veggies like leafy greens and salads. Carrots, tomatoes, and celery also establish how eating raw helps connect you to Earth's spirituality. Number 2 are healthy oils. The good fats in virgin olive oil and avocado oil help to support brain health and also reduce anxiety. Garlic and onions have been a staple with spiritual practitioners for centuries, and they can help you boost your immune system. And let's not forget about herbs. Many herbs have been known to support spiritual awakening, and herbal teas can open up your chakras. Finally, there's good old water. Of course, you've heard the saying, water is life, but staying hydrated is very important to your overall good health. Water can also help you detox your negative energy and open you up to a soul full of spirituality. Please take a few minutes to read my blog, 5 Foods That Nourish Your Soul. Simply go to jamespolakof.com and click on blogs. And remember, there's a new episode of Live Healthy Longer each and every Wednesday. In the next episode of our series, Life, Past, Present, and Beyond, we're going to continue exploring whether reincarnation is actually real, as well as what we can expect after we die. Is there an afterlife? And if so, what's it like? Together we'll discover the world past and beyond with leading psychics who have been judged to be credible and accurate. So plan to tune in every Wednesday for a new podcast that just might blow your mind. This is Dr. Jim Polakof. Thanks for joining me, and I wish you a healthy, happy, long life.